Welcome to the Pub Sports Radio College Football Closing Time Betting Show, Saturday, December the 5th with Conor, Matt, Imee, and Cameron. We're ready to go for a Saturday of college football. We don't have many of these left, only 3 college football Saturdays left where you've got multiple games. You got this week, next week, and then 2 weeks from now is going to be Conference Championship Saturday. So there's not a whole lot left in terms of this college football season, but we're down to the nitty-gritty. These are the games that are going to determine bowl bids, going to determine the final 4 teams in the college football playoffs. So there is still plenty at stake. As always, a bunch of games that have been canceled, but let's get to it. Conor, we'll start as always with the early games, noon Eastern kickoffs. We'll start with the big one that's everyone's looking forward to. Ohio State finally returning to the field of play. Seems like it's been a while since we've seen Ohio State in action. They're taking on Michigan State. 22.5-point favorites on the road. Ohio State 58.5 the total. This is a game I'm staying far away from, Conor, because on paper, this is a team with the Ohio State Buckeyes that they definitely have talent advantages. The offense is just so superior to what Michigan State brings to the table in terms of offensive line play, in terms of quarterback play, in terms of skill position talent, that if Michigan State's defense doesn't hang in there, get some stops, force some turnovers, they're going to be in big trouble. They're just not that kind of team that's going to be able to come from behind and win this game. The problem with laying this many points for Ohio State is A, they haven't played in weeks, and B, they've just released the players' identification of players affected by COVID that are sitting out, and I think the offensive line has been hit a little bit in terms of personnel that is not going to suit up because of the COVID issues that have been taking place. So definitely concerning here for Ohio State that there's just enough reasons to not want to lay this many points with them on the road, even though on paper they're a hell of a lot better than Michigan State. So for me, I'm staying away from this game. Conor, did you have anything Buckeye Spartans?
You nailed it. I'd love to be on Michigan State. If they had just a little bit, maybe a few more points. I know it was at 24 for a while. It's down to 22.5. I can't take them, though. I know they beat Northwestern last week. Ohio State's just going to score when they want. I don't know if Michigan State can do it with the COVID. I've been on a big taking Ohio State overs and grabbing the points with any team, but I'm not doing it today. And it's tough, man. I'd love to take these points right here. If I think Michigan State, could play a little bit, but I'm passing here. I got to pass.
All right, Nebraska, Purdue. We stay in the Big Ten. Actually, first 3 games we're talking about, all in the Big Ten and all noon Eastern kickoffs. We've got Purdue 1.5, 2.5-point home favorites in this game. The total 63.5, 64 in most places. Purdue losing, of course, to Rutgers last week, a bit surprising. Back to the old Purdue defense, unfortunately, just not getting stops, just giving up big plays in bunches. That's a concern, definitely. I know Nebraska's offense has been a little bit better, I think, with Luke McCaffrey, although he struggled against Iowa, and they went back to Adrian Martinez, and he actually sparked them a little bit against Iowa, even though they fell short, that they did cover the number as double-digit dogs against the Hawkeyes last Friday. Nevertheless, I think Scott Frost is going to play both of these quarterbacks. I don't think he's settled on either one. But Purdue's defense has been a problem. So I think they'll score. Purdue should do whatever they want to against Nebraska's defense. I like the offense for Purdue. I mean, Jack Plummer has taken over from O'Connell, who's been injured. No drop-off. In fact, I think Plummer barely lost the job to Aiden O'Connell in preseason camp. So it's not like he was leaps and bounds the worst of the 2 options. He can play, and he's shown that in recent games. At this number, I got to go with Purdue. Just to win the game at home. I trust them more than Nebraska. And I like this game over the total. I think it ends up being a shootout, 34-31. A final score like that can get you over the total of 64. So I like Purdue, and I like the over. And I also would like a drink of water right now because my voice is acting up. Conor, take it from here. Nebraska, Purdue. I think are you muted? I can't hear you.
Sorry, I must hit the mute.
Oh, there you go.
I messed everything up there.
Whoopsie daisy.
If I was on, I got to be on Purdue. I'm just weirded out by the line. It's only 1 because I think Purdue's a little bit better. They're at home. That should automatically be 3. I don't know if there's enough warrant in Nebraska. It's got me a little, but I just got to I'm not looking at that too much. All the money's on Purdue. I think it's like 86 or 88. I don't care. I think Purdue, you nailed it, Ian. They're the better team. It's a short number. They just need to win the game. I got it at 1.5. So give me Purdue.
All right, Penn State, Rutgers. Penn State, 11.5-point road favorites, 51 the total. What has Penn State done to warrant double-digit road chalk here in this game? That's my question against the hard-trying boys from Piscataway. Because Rutgers, I'll tell you what, they're not where they want to be yet, but there's improvement. There's a team that is trying and playing hard every week, digging in, and I've been impressed with the offense. Now, Noah Vedral got injured last week. Art Satowski, remember him? He's been in this program for years. He had to take over. We're not sure who the starter is going to be, but whoever it is, Satowski was good filling in for Vedral last week against Purdue. And if it's Vedral and he's back and he's ready to go, he's played well. He's got a dual threat element to his game. He's a mobile quarterback as well. That should help against Penn State. Okay, Penn State did get off the schneid last week. First win, first point spread cover of the season against Michigan. Give them credit for that. But now are they ready to lay 11.5 points on the road? And Rutgers has taken Michigan to overtime. You know, they battled Indiana pretty tough, almost covered in that game, but battled them pretty good. They've had some decent wins on their schedule. They did beat Michigan State, remember? And Michigan State just beat Northwestern last week. So to me, Rutgers can do enough to hang within this game. I'm going to take the points here with the Scarlet Knights plus the 11.5. Connor, what's your take here? Penn State, Rutgers.
I agree with you. There's no way. If you're taking Penn State, you're right now laying it. It's gotta be. You're thinking they turned the corner or something against Michigan, and I didn't see that. That was just a boring 10-point, 27-17 win. I didn't think they looked great at all, man. And I watched the whole game basically. I got to go with Rutgers here. They're scrappy. I know they give up points, and this could be an over. Look, the line's dropped a lot. Where are we at real quick? You have it in front of you. 50.
There is some weather. I think
51.
It's raining and there's some moderate wind. I think that has played a part in total coming down for this game in New Jersey.
I know Rutgers can give it up a little bit. Their defense, especially running the ball, but whoever's in at quarterback, I think both are similar. So, like you said earlier, I got to take the 12 here. I gotta take Rutgers at home. I think they keep it close. So there's just no way you could lay that with Penn State right now. No way. Give me Rutgers.
All right. Yeah. And again, the total's been bet down to 57.5 to 51. And that tells you all you need to know. A 6.5-point move to the under means there's weather involved. And that's a shame because I did think this could be an over early in the week. But then again, I started seeing the forecast, and sure enough, bettors are seeing it as well because this total's down to 51. I think you either still play it over, take a shot that even with the weather, it can get up and over 51 points with these two teams and these two defenses. It could happen, but with the weather in play, I'm going to just stay off it and stick with the side in this game.
How about last night?
Yeah, like last. That's what I worry about. Yeah, App State, UL Lafayette, Part 2, the sequel. Hopefully, the long snappers in this game are better than that guy last night or UL Lafayette. I couldn't believe my eyes seeing that. I mean, and all they talked about, and he is a good player. Like, he actually has had a good season. They weren't bullshitting Benetti and Andre Ware on the broadcast. He was really good for them this year, and unfortunately, he gets yips apparently when the weather's bad or a wet football. He just can't grip it and do his role, do his job when it's a rain game or a wet football. It's unbelievable just what he was doing it every time. He was getting out there and snapping the football to his punter, just sailing it way over the guy's head. Never seen anything like that.
I know. This is wild.
Unbelievable. That game was nuts. That game was not well played, but you talk about entertainment and just that craziness factor.
Yeah.
Oh, that game had it in spades last night. The Sun Belt, Fun Belt, putting the Fun Belt in that game. UL Lafayette and App State. Rice and Marshall now as we move on at noon Eastern in Conference USA. Rice taking some money here. 23.5 Marshall, now 21 across the board, 45 the total. I'm not stepping in front of Marshall, and Rice has kind of disappointed me. And the more I think about it, the more after seeing North Texas just look hideous against Louisiana Tech this past Thursday night, I just keep saying to myself, how the hell did Rice lose by double digits to this North Texas team? And that's exactly why I can't take Rice here, because I was high on Rice. I like the TCU transfer quarterback, Mike Collins. I thought their defense, which was pretty decent last year, was going to be pretty good this year, and they couldn't stop North Texas 2 weeks ago. Now they're going to have to face Grant Wells and a very good balanced Marshall offense. It's going to be very, very tricky, I think, for them, especially if they're giving up in the 30s to North Texas. So, and Marshall's just been one of those teams where this is probably going to come close to the numbers. Sometimes they've squeaked out the cover. Sometimes they've just barely missed. So I think it's going to be, a 17, 21, 24-point win for Marshall. It's just a question of do they cover. It'll come close to the number, I think. I don't have much of a feel for this game. Conor, your thoughts, Rice Marshall?
Me too. You nailed it. I think it's going to come close right to the number. I love Marshall, and they're getting the love here with these lines. If I saw anything like you were talking about, Ian and Rice, I'd grab these points. I can't. I think it's right around there. This is a 42-20. I don't know. Something, maybe a game like that. 17. Marshall's got a good defense. They could probably keep them under 20. Tell you the truth, score about 38. But there's no way I can put my money on a game like that where it's too close. So pass.
Yeah, some of these teams that are big favorites, they're looking to make a point, make a statement. Marshall, we'll get to a few others down the road. First half bets might be something you might prefer in those games.
Yes.
Oklahoma State and TCU. We've got Oklahoma State 2.5-point road favorites, 52 the total in this game. Numbers in the right spot. I think Oklahoma State is a slightly better football team than TCU. So, being a slight road favorite makes some sense to me in this game, but I don't want to sell TCU short. And the more I see remember Oklahoma State's defense? Wow, look at this defense so early in the season. Well, it's coming unglued a little bit the last few weeks. Oklahoma shredded them. Texas Tech last week. I know Oklahoma State survived and won the game, but not because of their defense. And that worries me because, again, I go back to that mentality. As soon as I start to see a team like Oklahoma State where they're starting to decline a little bit defensively, defenses that I don't trust fully to get stops consistently, not necessarily the teams I'm looking to lay points with, especially on the road. So the lean here is to Okie State, but that's all it's going to be for me, just a lean. Conor, what's your thoughts here?
I'm with you. I lean with them too. This was kind of a tough one. I don't like it. And TCU is just so vanilla. It's hard to, I've always liked backing them with Patterson. Not a very good offense. Their defense, just very average. I think the line's spot on. Do you know Hubbard's in this week? Is he a go?
Let me just double check
Hubbard.
that. I'll bring up the sheet here, but I know Spencer Sanders came back a couple of weeks ago, so he's good to go. Chuba Hubbard's and he has not had a good season, even before he got injured. He just hasn't had that same burst, that same breakout ability, and just dominate a game on the ground like he did last year. But definitely, it'll be interesting to see to bring.
I think it's
definitely it's a situation where. Yeah, definitely.
Okay, sorry, my bad.
We got.
I didn't know if you were looking it up.
I'm going to get that go on Chuba. Yeah, but you lean Oklahoma State, right?
Yeah, Oak State, but I'm passing. I'm not betting it.
All right, very good. All right, on we go. We've got Kansas, Texas Tech, 26.5-point home favorite, 64.5 the total. There's absolutely no reason whatsoever for me to bet Kansas, and I would strongly suggest the same to everybody out there. But is Texas Tech a lay almost 4 touchdowns with team? I'm not so sure. This is another one. Nope, I've got nothing on it. Didn't even cross my mind to bet this game, to be honest with you, because I knew Kansas was going to be a huge dog, and I knew I didn't trust Texas Tech to lay this many points. So it was an easy game to say, you know what, move on. Conor, what about you, Kansas and Texas Tech?
I agree. Kansas is so bad. I think it's just, God, you got to like 26 with Tech. I still think they cover it. I'm not going to bet it, and I'd lean towards the over. That's it.
Yeah, I agree. I would agree with that. Thanks to everyone in the chat. I just want to shout out everybody here. Razor Sharp, Jacksonville. So we've got AB, Dom, Tim, good friend of mine. I've known him for a while as well in the chat. Big Show Picks. Welcome in. Good luck today with your plays. Looking forward to this Saturday. Toledo, Northern Illinois. We've got Toledo 9 to 10-point road favorites in this game. All of a sudden, Northern Illinois has started to show some offense. I don't know where it came from, but Ross Bowers and the Huskies offense has picked it up a little bit in recent weeks. This is a guy that came over from Cal, was the quarterback there for a little bit, for a period of time. All of a sudden, you're seeing this Northern Illinois offense perk up a little bit in recent games. Toledo, though, they're a different handful that they're going to be offensively for this Northern Illinois team, and that's the problem for Northern Illinois. This ain't the same. They had one of the better defenses in the MAC conference for years. That ain't Northern Illinois this year. They have been battered by every good offense they've played in this conference. They've had their way with Northern Illinois, and that worries me that Toledo might have their way with them here in this game as well. So to me, it's a lot of points to be laying with Toledo, but that's the side I would prefer, even though it's a game I really didn't get involved with. Connor, what's your thoughts on this Maction battle?
I didn't get involved either. I think the number's right there. Toledo has been great as a road favorite. They got great numbers. I've looked it up. But the line, I think, is just a little too inflated. If this was under a touchdown, I like Toledo a lot better. And like you said, this Northern Illinois team, with all these freshmen, have really, started to play a little bit better. And this could be a close game, but I got to pass. I think the number's too close.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Chuba Hubbard out, by the way. Just found that unavailable.
Yeah.
It looks like
Cool,
this
thanks.
game for Oklahoma State. So there he is, not available in all likelihood. They say is the latest update. So it's not 100% confirmed, but yeah, pretty much don't expect him. It would be surprising if he's in there today. Texas A&M Auburn. Certainly in terms of the noon games, this is one of the bigger ones. Texas A&M 6-point road favorites, 48 the total. This is one of those games, Connor. I don't know about what you think here, but if it was a 7 or more, I'd kind of like Auburn in this game because I give them a little bit of respect at home. Bo Nix plays better at home. This team overall plays a whole lot better at Jordan-Hare Stadium than they do on the road. But below 7, I said 7 or more, I'd like Auburn. Below a touchdown, I'd kind of lean the other way with A&M. The question for A&M still is, does this team have that? Because this is going to be tougher than LSU. LSU has no offense, freshman quarterback and TJ Finley. You got guys opting out left and right, players that are, bailing off the sinking ship. And we'll talk about one of those teams in just a moment that's doing the same. Yeah, and you beat them good. You can't control the game against LSU last week. Auburn's going to at least put up some resistance because everything I've read from Auburn this week is they would love to play spoiler here in this game against A&M, and they're not just going to go quietly into the night because Alabama just destroyed them last week. I do think you get a good game and a hell of an effort from Auburn. The question is, will it be enough? Kellen Mond's not making many mistakes, and if he goes on the road here, protects the football, makes plays, the Auburn defense will give him plays because this is not the same Auburn defense. So where the number is now, like early in the week, I was leaning Auburn. Where the number is now, though, 5.5, 6, it's A&M for me. It's based on where the number is. 7 or more, I kind of like Auburn. Less than 7, I kind of like A&M. Not a strong opinion, but it's a big game. If I had to bet it, would be a lean to the road favorite at below a touchdown. What's your take here, Connor? Aggies and Tigers.
I think you nailed it. If I had more than 7, I'd go with Auburn as well, who have just been not good. I know Gus Malzahn and them, they've been great as a home dog over the years. This team just
Really
isn't very good. Yeah, really good.
Like 7-1 ATS is a home dog good. So yeah, that's the one thing that worries me for A&M here.
Yeah, that's kept me I'm him and hawing about this. And I like that now that it's down to 5.5, I do like A&M. It's just a tough spot. I've been thinking about it like last night, and how I hate these two quarterbacks. I think I've gotten that across.
I got to give Mond
Kellen Mond. I do. Mond has played better, and A&M has the better defense. So I would have to go with A&M here as the short favorite at 5.5. I don't love it. It's just a tough spot. This could be one of those games, a field goal. If A&M goes in there and makes a statement, they should, because they're right outside the, I think they're ranked 5. So if they could go in there and get a big win, it'd be huge. But I don't know about betting this one. I'm staying off so far. I haven't made a bet on it.
Yeah,
but I'd lean A&M. I'd lean A&M.
I'm with you. It's a lean only for me. I did not send this game out to subscribers of mine. I did not bet it myself. It is a situation where I'd only lean here to A&M. It's one of those games that was just, I thought the number was in a really good spot because I could see A&M winning. And yeah, they're definitely going to want to punch in a late score if they can. The question is, are they going to get to that point? Because I could see them being in a barn burner here today against this Auburn team. Texas and Kansas State. We've got Texas 7.5 point road favorites, 50.5, 51 the total. Okay, based on where this number is, There's no doubt Texas does, talent-wise, roster-wise, you match up these two teams, the speed element, the level of recruits. Texas deserves to be a touchdown or more favorite in this game. But sometimes late in the season, I don't like to just go by matchups, and that I want to look at intangibles. I want to look at the situation. What I'm seeing with Texas now, none of it's good. None of it. You've got 3 guys this week that have opted out. One of your top offensive linemen, one of your top players in the secondary, your running back, Keontae Ingram, said, you know what, to hell with this. I'm done. I'm out. And all of it coming after that loss last week to Iowa State, the missed field goal right at the end of the game. What did that loss do for a team that had big expectations coming into the season? Well, first, the playoff was out of reach long ago. But now with that loss last week, the Big 12 championship, you can't get there. You're going to be relegated to some middle-of-the-rung bowl game, and I don't think any of these players give 2 shits about playing in a bowl game like that. Tom Herman's hearing the whispers that he's likely going to be canned at the end of the season. How anxious is he to keep on planning and prepping for a team that looks like he's going to give him the axe at the end of the season? Players opting out left and right. That was Sam Ehlinger's home finale last week, so there was emotion, there was effort, intensity from Texas. And after that loss that killed any kind of goal that you had in mind prior to the season, now you're going on the road for a quote-unquote meaningless road game with guys opting out, dropping off the sinking ship left and right, and playing a Kansas State team that, oh, by the way, is playing their final home game and can absolutely assure themselves of a solid bowl game if they win this game here today against Texas. Texas is the better team roster-wise. There's no doubt.
On paper.
But this, to me, all week long has felt, looked, and smelled like a complete no-show is on the way from Texas today. And I've seen this from them before. Late in the season, when they start to lose a big game that knocks off some of what they wanted to get done and accomplished during the season, they just mail it in. They just wave the white flag, signs a quit, no show, flat as a pancake. I worry that's the Texas team we see today. I think Kansas State +7 is live, and I think they could win this game outright. I think a sprinkle on the money line is worth it as well. I really have this gut feeling Texas is just not showing up here today. Connor, what's your thoughts?
I agree with you. And you know how much I like K-State too, catching points at home. I thought they were kind of, after that beatdown to Iowa State, I thought, what they do? Came back last week and won. You got to take it here. You got to take these points for sure. I think Texas, like you said, I think they're just going through the motions. This season's just done. That after last week's that kind of heartbreaking loss, I don't think their head's in the right place. And this is the spot for K-State. You don't want to lay points with them. Don't love them too much on the road. But at home, catching more than the touchdown here. It's not more. It's only 7.5. There's a few 7s, but I got to go with K-State.
Now, Will Howard scares the hell out of me back in Kansas State here. He's had a really tough time throwing the football. I understand that. But here's the thing. They can run the football, and Texas has been a lot more generous giving up big plays on the ground lately. And if Kansas State can run the football, and I think they will, they'll at least keep Howard in better situations to have success. And I think that could be helpful for Kansas State in this game today. All right, Memphis and Tulane, another noon Eastern kick. Tulane 3-point favorites at home, total 64.5 in this game. I just like points. I mean, I'm staying off the side in this game, but you got, I think, Michael Pratt for this Tulane team at quarterback. The freshman is getting better every week. I like what I'm seeing out of this offense. Memphis's defense, nothing to write home about. The Memphis offense has been kind of disappointing, to say the least, at times this season, but I think it's a bounce-back game for Brady White and Memphis's offense here against a Tulane defense that is still having a tough time consistently stopping the opposing team. So I like this game to go up and over the total. Connor, anything for you with Memphis-Tulane?
I agree with you. Now that it's gone up to 3, I would take the 3, and I got to lean the over as well. It was very Memphis is very that game which I had Navy, and I like Navy again today, but I think points will be scored here. And out of these two teams, I think they're pretty even. I would take the 3 with Memphis. I wouldn't want to lay 3 with Tulane. Kind of evenly matched teams. I think points are scored.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely liking the over. Arkansas, Missouri. We've got Missouri 2.5-point home favorites, 3-point home favorites, 54.5 the total in this game. I'm on Arkansas here, plus the 3. I'm not giving Missouri a damn bit of credit for a dead-ass Vanderbilt team beating them last week. No, thank you. I know it was impressive. It was 41-0, but Vanderbilt was talk about a no-show. That was Vanderbilt last week in that game against Missouri. And when you read the stuff that was coming out of Vanderbilt this week, another team with players jumping off the team left and right, opting out, I'm not giving Missouri as much credit for that win last week. Arkansas, all they do is hang in games, be competitive. It's been a really positive season to build on for Sam Pittman, his first year as the head coach. Felipe Franks has even looked pretty good at times this year, the Florida transfer after having, an up and down career with the Gators. I think they can win the game. Give me the +3 with Arkansas. I lean over as well because Arkansas, offensively, they've gotten better. I think their defense has kind of come back down to earth a little bit. And Missouri with Bazelak, I think, is going to have some success offensively as well in this game. So I like the dog, and I like the over. Connor, what about you here with Arkansas, Missouri?
I like Arkansas as well. I've been with you all year. I like them. Yeah, get that 3 because there's some 2.5s now out there. I like the under a little bit. I think this game's pretty tight. It's 54.5. It could just tumble over, but I think both defenses play well. Missouri did score, but that was against Vanderbilt. They've they can go anemic. They're very, vanilla too. How we were talking about TCU. That kind of is like Missouri. Pretty good football team, both sides of the ball. I think this one's tight and close. I lean the under here.
All right, we've got Troy and South Alabama in the Sun Belt. Troy 3.5 to 4-point road favorites, 54.5 the total. South Alabama, Desmond Trotter's banged up. Last I checked, he's not likely to start in this game for the Jaguars at quarterback. Troy's been so up and down. They've had some really good games, and they've had some just puzzling performances. So, look, it's Troy or pass for me. I don't want this South Alabama team, but I just decided, pass, because Troy laying more than a field goal on the road, not enough consistency for me to like them in this kind of point spread role. Connor, how about you?
You nailed it. It's more than a field goal, but I'm going to take a shot with Troy, -4.5. I think they're a better football team here, so I'm going to take a play on Troy, 4.5.
Yeah, that's, to me, still the only side I would look at in that game would be a Troy here, -4 in that one for sure. All right, moving on to 2:30. We've got 2 p.m. We have a couple 2 p.m. games, it looks like here. Yes, in the MAC. I've got a bunch of MAC games at 2 p.m. Bowling Green, Akron. Akron 3-point favorites, 54.5 to 55.5 the total. Matt McDonald is finally getting things going a little bit for Bowling Green on offense. They have a miserable defense. Akron's offense with this kid that came out of Georgia, Gibson, he's actually played pretty good for Akron. Dollard, this running back that they've got, is fun to watch. They can move the ball. I've been impressed with Akron. They've been able to put up points this year at times, and Bowling Green's a terrible defense. I know they got shut down by Miami last week, Akron, but I think in this game against one of the worst defenses in the MAC, Akron can put up points. I think they will, but Akron's defense just remains pretty bad. So I think Bowling Green gets it as well. I think all things considered, mid-50s total for these two defenses. Give me the over here, Bowling Green and Akron. Connor, what about you?
Yeah, just a bum fight. Two bad teams. I think it goes over, but I lean Akron. I think they're the better team who could score a little bit more here. I take them. They're at 3 now. Maybe if you get a 2.5, but Akron and the over for sure.
Yeah, this is a team that hasn't won a game since the start of last season, and now they're favored. How about that? That tells you all you need to know.
Let's put that in for So I'm taking a team that hasn't won, laying a field goal right now. Just a lean. I'm not playing it. So, but yeah.
But I agree. Akron's look, I don't want to say competent, but they've had little glimpses where they look like a football team. And I haven't seen quite as much of that from Bowling Green. So you got to make someone the favorite. And obviously Akron at home, I can understand why they're the slight favorite here. Ball State, Central Michigan. Central Michigan opened the home favorite, and now it's Ball State 2.5 on the road, 62.5 the total. Richardson, the quarterback for Central Michigan's out. That's why there's been this big move. And I agree. I think Ball State gets the win here. I like Central quite a bit, but there's going to be a massive quarterback edge in terms of ability and experience to Drew Plitt for this Ball State Cardinals team. And I think they get the victory here. So I agree with the move to Ball State. Connor, how about you, Ball State Central?
I agree. I think with Plitt, he's the better quarterback. I'd take him here in this spot. I like Central early. I don't know, their defense just hasn't been that well. I think Ball State will score a bunch here. I don't really about the over. It's up to 61.5. I think it gets over, but it's just a lean.
Yeah, the over is I feel more comfortable Ball State team total. I don't know exactly what Central Michigan will do offensively, but I do know Ball State defensively is still very, very suspect. So maybe Central can still move the football with success. Eastern Michigan, Western Michigan. Western 13.5-point home favorite, 67 the total. I like the over here in this game. Eastern's defense has really been poor. Preston Hutchinson, I think, has some upside, but he's just hasn't been protected well enough at times. He's made a couple critical mistakes, but I think there's something there for him, and he could be a quarterback next year. Look out. He might, I'm sure he's going to come back to Eastern Michigan. He'll have a big year, I think, for them because he's got some ability, dual threat quarterback, and I think he'll continue to get better. It's been a tough year for Chris Creighton's team, but you get Eastern in these kind of point spread rolls where they're double-digit dogs. They've been so good in this role. I'd lean a little to the Eastern here, and especially in a rivalry game. Connor, how about you?
I've looked at this one a little bit more because I like that. If I can get 14, I go with Eastern. This is just a perfect spot for them. And I lean the over as well. Western can score. So, yeah, lean over as well.
All right, 2:30. We've got, this one might be over after the first quarter. Syracuse and Notre Dame. We've got Notre Dame 34-point favorites, 50.5, 51 the total. Jacobian Morgan, Rex Culpepper. I don't even think it matters who the quarterback is anymore for Syracuse in this game. It just offensive line stinks. They're going to get absolutely mauled by Notre Dame up front. That offensive line has been just battered all season, and now they got to play a good front seven in Notre Dame. They're going to have a tough day offensively. That's just, and they've had so many injuries, both sides of the ball. The defense even has struggled. Ian Book and the Notre Dame balanced offense should be able to have a lot of success here. They like to run it. They can throw it. They should be able to do both against the Syracuse team. Notre Dame first half maybe, but it's a lot of points to be laying. And the same with the total. Like Notre Dame can get 40s and push to this total maybe all by themselves. Like they could get 48-49 in this game, I think, against Syracuse. But I don't know if I trust Syracuse to find the end zone and score in this game. I really don't. I mean, so that's the problem with the total. It's because 42-7 is a final score I could see happening, and that's not enough to get you over the total. If Syracuse is totally lifeless offensively, and again, they're in a compromised offense. They've got inexperienced quarterback play, a bad offensive line on the road against one of the best defenses. And I give Notre Dame's defense credit. I wasn't sure how good Notre Dame's defense was going into last week against North Carolina. Remember, Clemson, moved the ball at will against Notre Dame, even though they lost that game. I thought North Carolina and Sam Howell last week could do some things offensively. And the way Notre Dame shut them down after the first quarter, it's about as impressive a defensive effort as I've seen from any team this season. So I give them credit for that. And that's why I worry about Syracuse doing anything offensively in this game. So overall, it's a long way of saying I'm passing on this game. How about you, Connor? Syracuse, Notre Dame.
I'm passing too. I think Notre Dame can do whatever they want here, but I have a feeling they might. This could be just a real sleepy, just get, I don't know if they blow them out or just kind of a Notre Dame, maybe like 34-10, something like that. Notre Dame's had some weird games. They're playing a lot better, of course, the last 3 or 4 weeks. It's Notre Dame or pass, but man, laying that's a lot, 35 and then 34. So I have to stay away. I mean, if it got more, I can't believe I would take Syracuse, but we don't have to get to that talk yet. So pass.
All right. Yeah, nothing wrong with that. Passing on a big number like this. There's a couple big numbers I like, not this one. UL Monroe, Arkansas State. Arkansas State, 21.5-point home favorite, 71 the total. Again, Monroe is unbackable, but we're talking about Arkansas State and a Civ defense of their own laying 3 touchdowns, which tells you how bad UL Monroe's been. I'm just sticking with the obvious play here, and that's over the total. I mean, UL Monroe gave up, 60-something points last week. Arkansas State can probably get 50. Like, this defense just doesn't get one single stop in a lot of games anymore than Monroe. I think Arkansas State, with their 2-quarterback system, they can roll up 50 points in their sleep in this game, and Monroe can get you against this defense of Arkansas State, which has been bad all year. Even Monroe can get you, I think, 17, 21 points, 24 points, and this game can even sail over a high number of 71. Connor, how about you? ULM and Arkansas State.
I agree with you. I don't know if I'm going to play it, but I think you're right. I mean, 70-20. I think Arkansas, yeah, like you said, in their sleep, you get 50. It'd be the over or pass, and it's 71. It's a lot, but I think you could get there today. These both are bad. I mean, Monroe's really bad, but Arkansas State, like you said, I think Monroe could hopefully get 17-21. So definitely, yeah, lean the over.
All right, Boston College, Virginia. We've got Virginia 3.5 to 4-point home favorites, 55 the total. Money coming in on BC the last 2 days because Phil Jurkovec is going to be back at quarterback for them, which is good news for them. And I agree, Boston College, you just take them as a dog. They've been very good. The only game they really didn't cover was Notre Dame, and it's one of the best teams in the country when they've been underdogs this year. They've been great in this point spread role. They've got their quarterback on the field. I agree with them plus the points, but I do like the over as well because I like Brennan Armstrong quite a bit for Virginia, and their offense is more than capable. The total's reasonable at 54-55. So I like BC in the over here. Connor, what about you, BC, Virginia?
You nailed it. I like Virginia a lot. They've been playing well lately, but I've been a backer like you have with BC all year with Jurkovec. And give me more than 3 and a hook here. I got to take BC, and I think it goes over. I think just at 55, I think it can get over. This should be in the 30s. I think this game 38-30, something like that, 34-31. So I go with the dog in BC.
All right, Florida, Tennessee, Florida, 17.5, 18-point road favorites, 62.5 the total, 63.5 in some spots. Look, every week I've been leaning Florida and over in their games against these teams that they should be able to crush, like Vanderbilt and like Kentucky. And all of a sudden they're, either not covering or barely covering in these games. So it's tough. But Tennessee with to be honest with you, if you're Tennessee, you might actually have some value in the number because Guarantano's not going to be your starting quarterback. The guy that's replacing him can't be worse than Jarrett Guarantano. And I know they got a new starter today, but he can't be worse than that guy. No way. Not after what I've seen. So for me, it's the slightest of leans to Florida here. But again, they've had trouble lately in these bigger point spread ranges, covering some of these larger numbers. But Tennessee, to me, is not a team I trust enough. Connor, Florida, Tennessee.
Yeah, I can't trust Tennessee when you just don't have a quarterback. I think their defense is okay. I think this could stay under the 63. So I'm leaning the under a little bit. I like the overs, but I think Tennessee's defense can hang around a little bit. I don't think they score much. I like the under a little bit in this game.
All right, West Virginia, Iowa State, Iowa State 5.5, 6-point home favorites, 47.5 the total. I worry about the spot here for Iowa State a little bit because they had the big win that clinched the Big 12 championship game, first and forever for this program last week against Texas. Emotional game, big win, hung on at the end for the victory. Now you got to try to, get the troops back in order and ready to play a tough, physical, good defensive team like West Virginia. From a spot perspective, it's a tricky one for Iowa State. I can understand why West Virginia is getting a little bit of play. I lean a little to the mount. I don't like going against Iowa State because I love this team and Matt Campbell as a coach a lot, but it's a dubious spot. Lean West Virginia. How about you, Connor?
I lean West Virginia a little bit. I think it's too many, and I like Iowa State as well. I think this game stays under. I know it's 50. I think this game kind of mirrors the Texas game a little bit last week. I know it's college, and 50 is, it's just tough to take. But West Virginia just kind of doesn't score. It's a tough one, and it's dropping. It's 48 now. I got it at 50. That's getting dicey, but I'd still lean towards the under in this one.
All right, leaning towards the under with West. Yeah, I agree. It should be a pretty low score. And Iowa State's got a pretty damn good defense, too. We saw what they did, frustrating Sam Ehlinger last week. Indiana, Wisconsin, good Big Ten matchup here. Wisconsin, 13.5-point home favorites, 44.5, 45 the total. Wisconsin trying to bounce back from the loss to Northwestern. Graham Mertz obviously finally looked human in that game against a really good defense. He's going to face a really good defense here. I think Indiana does have a pretty good I know Ohio State, they struggled a little bit, but they had moments in that game where they did play well. I give their defense a ton of credit last week. Maryland's offense was on fire going into that game, and they put out the fire last week, Indiana. They shut down Talia Tagovailoa and that Maryland Terrapins offense. And, I think they can hang in there with Wisconsin. I know Wisconsin, they got bet up from 10-14 when it was announced Michael Penix Jr. out for the season. But Jack Tuttle was highly recruited. He barely lost the starting quarterback competition to Penix prior to the season. And from all reports, they love the guy, and they think he can really, really play. And I think Jack Tuttle can go out there for Indiana today and be decent and keep them in the game. I just think it's a few too many points for that. And Indiana's still not getting, the due and the respect I think they've earned. So I like the doubles with Indiana as a dog in this game. Connor, what about you? Hoosiers and Badgers?
I got to stick with the Indiana. And you said, I think Tuttle, he was a big recruit. I mean, he's not Penix, I don't think, but I think they can hang around here. In Indiana, they're good because they're a good football team, good special teams. They play good defense. So I think they stay in this game. I know Wisconsin's got to be ticked off about, losing to Northwestern, and they're always great at home. But when you see a total here, 44.5, and the spread's this big, I don't buy it. Even with him in there, I'd go with Indiana in the 13.5. If you could get 14 earlier in the week, you could have got 16. I'd put a tad bit on it just personally, but this is Indiana for me.
Yeah, I agree. This is a team, Indiana, that's I think deserves a little more respect than they've gotten. We've got Iowa, Illinois. We stay in the Big Ten. Iowa, 13.5 point road favorites, 53 the total. Iowa's been not just good. They have been, for the last couple of years, their ATS record is road favorites. That particular role, they have been just surgical. I mean, they have just been like 80%, something like that. ATS is road chalk. This has been Kirk Ferentz's role. And believe it or not, it didn't used to be that way. They just do enough to win games, but they might just be able to hand the ball off and get chunk plays against Illinois. Illinois, leaky defense, especially against the run up front. Yeah, it would be Iowa or pass for me. Connor, what about you in this game?
It's Iowa, and I think they go in there, win and cover, but it's too many. When I start to see that, when I start seeing it got me last week. I think they do, but I don't want to lay 2 touchdowns with them. They're the way better football team, though, for sure. Iowa here or just pass for sure.
All right, Tulsa Navy. Tulsa 12-point road favorites, 45.5 the total. It's Tulsa or pass here. Look, Navy has triple option. I trust a good defense to handle that. Philip Montgomery and Tulsa see this team every year. They should be used to it. And Tulsa's strength is up front. Like, it's hard to run on this team, and obviously that's what you're going to get a lot of from Navy. The question is, can Tulsa's sometimes sporadic offense do enough? Zach Smith's going to be back at quarterback. Remember, he got injured against Tulane, and then the second-string quarterback, Seth Boomer, got injured. And then they were down to the third-string quarterback who came in and led them to that victory. Well, it's going to be back to Zach Smith, the initial starter today. Can the offense do enough to cover a number like this? They still might, because we know Navy on defense, they haven't been exactly putting up a lot of resistance this year. So for me, it would be a lean a little bit to Tulsa. It's just doubles on the road. I can find better spots, which is why I'm staying off it, but I would lean a little to Tulsa. Connor, what about you, Tulsa Navy?
I'm on Navy again. I think they could get it done. Tulsa is just like Memphis, SMU. They just struggle covering double digits on the road. So every time I can catch them, I'm trying to. They don't seem to gun it. And it seems like every Tulsa game, there's some kind of drama, and they've barely covered. They've won by a field goal, this, that. So I know this one could be a wild one, but I want the 12.5 here with Navy at home. It might be, I just don't see Tulsa going in there blowing them out. They might, but I'm going back to the well with Navy here.
All right, going back to the well with the middies, the midshipmen in that one. All right, we got Stanford and Washington now, a little Pac-12. We've got Washington 11.5 point home favorites, 49 the total. Easy pass. I can't lay that many with Washington. I just don't trust them. Stanford, actually, I give them credit. They battled back to beat Cal last week. I'd actually lean a little to the dog, but not enough for me to pull the trigger, but lean slightly to Stanford here. Connor, what about you? Stanford, Washington.
I lean a little bit to Stanford, but I can't trust them. This was one that I went pass because I didn't want to lay it with Washington. This was a total pass right away.
Yeah, I don't blame you there. Georgia Tech, NC State 6.5 point home favorites, 60 the total. Give me the over here. That's the bet that makes sense to me. Georgia Tech found their offense after the bye week against Duke last week. That's the best I've seen Jeff Sims in that offense look all season long last week against Duke. NC State with Bailey Hockman, their offense has really kept going and produced, and they're facing a pretty bad Georgia Tech defense here. So I see points being scored. I like this game over the total. Connor, what about you? Yellow Jackets, Wolfpack.
Yeah, I think points. I mean, Georgia Tech, they can't stop really anybody. NC State's defense, I don't think is that good. I think the number is solid there at 60. So I like it to go over as well. I have that one circled right away.
All right, liking the over as well with that one. All right, we keep on going down the card. Let me just see here what's next up. All right, we've got Florida Atlantic, Georgia Southern. Georgia Southern 2-point favorites, 42 the total. Shai Werts is questionable. So make sure you're aware of that here. The quarterback for Georgia Southern in this triple option attack. Florida Atlantic, a damn good defense, but boy, nails on a chalkboard trying to get anything offensively out of this team this season. Should be low scoring. I lean under, but boy, you're talking about a total near 40. It's so tough to bet unders at that number. Connor, what about you, FAU and Georgia Southern?
These teams can't score. I would lean under. This was just, it's under a pass, but man, that's so low. It's just, you're taking that and just sweating it, I think. But it might go. I mean, this could be 17-10 or something. I mean, really, at the end of the day. But definitely, it's just under a pass.
All right, South Kakalaki against Kentucky. We've got Kentucky 11.5-point home favorites, 46.5 the total. The under makes sense to me in this game. South Carolina's up and down offense, mostly down against Kentucky. I don't know if they'll move the ball, but Kentucky, I don't trust their offense to always be able to move the ball up and down. Terry Wilson's just a guy. I've resigned myself to the fact he's not going to get better as a college quarterback. He is what he is at this point in his career. So for me, and I can't take either side. I don't want South Carolina, and I can't lay this many with Kentucky. So for me, it would just be a lean to the under. Connor, how about you? South Carolina, Kentucky.
Yeah, this one's tough. I want nothing to do with either team. And, I mean, I guess I lean South Carolina, but they're horrible. I can't take them. I lean with the under a little bit as well. I think this one's an under game. This was another one I kind of I go, I don't want any. These two teams have not been good for me all year the few times I've been on. So I was like, roster out.
I don't blame you. Colorado, Arizona, back to the Pac-12 we go. Colorado, 8-point favorites, 57 the total. A lot of injuries for Arizona. Grant Gunnell, the quarterback, injured. They may be going to the backup here in this game. That's a concern here for back in Arizona. But now the number's gotten a little carried away. I don't know if I can lay 8 on the road, but with Arizona battling a lot of injuries, I wouldn't want to take that side. Lean slightly to the over, but that's about it for me here. Colorado, Arizona, Connor.
It's just got to be Colorado. For me, I think they're just the better team. Like you said, Arizona's banged up. I like what I've seen in Colorado. I think they've been a little surprised how well they played this year. So give me the Buffs here with the -8.
All right, on we go as we go rapid fire. We're getting through the card. We'll also talk the Sunday games as well because there are a couple games on Sunday that have been rescheduled as well. We move on down. We've got next up Fresno State, Nevada. Nevada letting me down last week. 6.5-point home favorites, 58.5 the total. Just a bad game for Nevada. First loss of the season against Hawaii on the island last week. A lot of mistakes, a lot of penalties. Defense really struggled for the first time all season. But I think it's a good bounce back spot. It's not a best bet, but I did lay the 6.5 with Nevada. I like them at home. They've been good at home in Reno. And Fresno State, they've been better than I thought they would be. Jake Haener, the quarterback, the new coach, has done a better job than I thought he would, taking over a tough situation. But this is a step up in class for Fresno. I think Nevada can win by at least a touchdown. So I laid the points here. And also small little play on the over as well. Connor, Fresno, Nevada.
Yeah, you're right. Fresno, I've been surprised. They've played really well. This is a big one for UNR after that. Just penalties, just horrible game in Hawaii. And I thought Hawaii played well. It was probably their best game of the year. I'm going back with UNR. I think they're the better team. And like you said, I just did it. If it was under a touchdown, I want them. And it was 6.5, so I went with UNR as well. Yeah,
and again, they're still in the mix for the Mountain West Championship game. So this is a big-time focus, bounce-back spot for them. They need to get the job done here in this one to keep pace with Boise and San Jose State. It's a 3-team battle for the Mountain West Championship game. Oregon, California. We've got Oregon 9-point road favorites, 59 the total in this game. What's left in Cal's tank? I worry Cal maybe taps out like some of these other teams. They've had a bad season. They're still winless. They lose a gut-wrenching loss to Stanford. They blew the lead and then came back, got what looked like the tying touchdown, only to have a blocked extra point in the final minute, and they end up losing by 1. Now you got to play this Oregon offense, which is pretty explosive. But Oregon's coming off their own shocking loss to Oregon State, so it's 2 play against teams for me. I still don't trust Oregon as a favorite, but I don't know if I want to back Cal either. Maybe you back points. Chase Garbers has disappointed me, but Oregon's defense has disappointed me even more. So maybe even he can get some points. I think Oregon against a declining Cal defense, which has been nothing like it's been in years past, can score maybe an over here at 59. But other than that, pass. Oregon, Cal, Connor?
Yeah, I'd lean the over. Oregon, they just don't have that good of a defense. This was a spot, if Cal had anything, I'd love to take the points. But I think I'd go the other way. I think Oregon can cover here, even with their bad defense. I think they give up points, but I think they can score 40 here. It's a tough one because I've faded Oregon, the last few weeks, and it's been good. Oregon State, beat them, which was a great win. But yeah, it just, Garber's garbage. The offense is just, can they score here? And I think Oregon's kind of took a step down. They don't look very good this year. It's a tough one. Lean over and lean maybe Oregon. It's under 10.
Yeah, I think I might get there with the over. The more I think about it in my head, we might see points from both of those offenses. Baylor and Oklahoma. Oklahoma 21 at home, 60 the total. Oklahoma is not a team I'm going against right now. This is a team that's on fire, on a roll. Big 12 championship game still within reach. Baylor, I don't trust them at all, to be honest with you. At this point, they've had a lot of COVID issues throughout the season. Slight lean to Oklahoma, but a lot of points to lay. What do you think, Baylor, Oklahoma?
You nailed it. Oklahoma's rolling. They look really good. It's just a lot of points. It just wasn't one of these favorite games I saw out there. If it was under, if I saw maybe 19, I'd like it a little bit better, but it's over 3 touchdowns. It's a little dicey, but I think they're the side here if you want to roll with Oklahoma.
All right, Colorado State, San Diego State. San Diego State, 7.5 point home favorites in this one, 46 the total. San Diego State, of course, tough loss to Nevada. But again, San Diego State, other than a bad Utah State team and UNLV, have they been able to cover as favorites against halfway competent, decent teams? They have not. And maybe Colorado State isn't, but I'm leaning a little bit to Colorado State here in this game, getting more than a touchdown. I dare this San Diego State offense to do enough to cover this kind of number, which they haven't consistently been able to do. So I kind of like CSU a little bit here. Connor, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I lean that way as well. And you know what? I got to say it every week until, take the under. San Diego State game. It's like, I think it's 8-1 this year. And last week, 2010 with Colorado. Give me the under. I know it, and it's down there. I think Colorado State's been pretty good. They haven't played in a while, right?
Yep.
They've been a few, yeah. I'd lean that way because it's up there with Colorado State. I think this is a tough fight in the low 20s. So it could get close to that. They're dropping the total now. I would have liked this at 50, 51, but at 46 now we're getting there. But what cashes? San Diego State under, so I got to lean that way.
All right, next up on the board, we've got I'm going to save all the big games for the end, actually, and then we'll do the Sunday games after that. But Miami Duke, we've got Miami 14.5 point road favorite, 63 the total. I'm seeing the temperature for Durham, North Carolina here where Duke plays. It's going to be in the low 40s. And I always get leery of betting Miami when it's cold weather. They've had some real clunkers in recent years when it's been really, really bad weather. And that's definitely something I worry about with them here tonight. But Duke's defense is just not very good. And they're facing a team with a lot of speed. And Duke's defense under Cutcliffe, they try, but when it's a speed disadvantage for them, they really have a tough time. So Miami can still probably end up with De'Aaron King rolling up some points here and scoring. Duke, I think, can do enough because the run defense for Miami hasn't always been great this year. I would lean a little to this game over the total. I want to take Duke because they're very good double-digit dogs long-term historically, but I just don't think this is a great Duke team. So it's a lean to Duke, lean to the over for me as well. Connor, what about you? Miami, Duke?
Yeah, I haven't taken Duke 15, but I think that might be the play. Their defense is so bad. I am worried about the cold, but their defense is horrible. I took the over early in the week. It's gone up to 62.5. It was 60 last night. I still think this gets over the total here, and I might take Duke. I'm going to wait on that one.
All right, San Jose State, Hawaii. San Jose State 2.5-point road favorite, 60 the total. I'm jumping right back against Hawaii again here with San Jose State. Really good spot. I think San Jose State here really playing great football. Brent Brennan, the defense has been good. Nick Starkel, the transfer quarterback from Texas A&M and Arkansas, where he was previously, healthy again, getting the job done. Really been strong this year and sharp for the Spartans. Nevada shot themselves in the foot last week. That was the story as much as anything Hawaii did. Mm-hmm. San Jose State can be disciplined, and they've done a good job of that this year, not taking many penalties. I think San Jose State gets the win here on the island. What's your thoughts, Connor? San Jose State, Hawaii.
I just have a lean in this one. I lean San Jose State, but I'm not going to play it. I don't know. Hawaii, they always say weird things go on, their teams just can't. And refs, all that stuff in the pocket. I'm going to stay off this one, but I think San Jose State's the better football team. I just don't like laying the 2.5 here today with them.
All right, I saved the best for last on this Saturday. Actually, we'll do the Sunday games first, then we'll do the best for last from Saturday's card. Sunday games, I'll throw them both at you. Western Kentucky, Charlotte 1.5-point favorites. I kind of like Charlotte there. Washington State, USC. Sunday night, the Sunday night football with these two teams might be better than Denver, Kansas City in the NFL tomorrow. But yeah, you have Sunday night football college style. Washington State, USC 13-point favorite, 67. I like the underdog Cougars there. USC's defense laying double digits. They've not been a good double-digit favorite under Helton at all. And Jaden DeLora and this Washington State offense, I like what I've seen from them. The run-and-shoot offense with Rolovich there, it's been a hand-in-glove fit because that guy ran the run-and-shoot offense at high school, and Jaden DeLora is now running it at Washington State. I think they score enough to keep this game close to within single digits. I'll take the 13 with Washington State, and I like the over in that game as well. Connor, what's your thoughts on the two Sunday college football games, Western Kentucky, Charlotte, Washington State, USC?
I'm with you on the Charlotte lean, and I'm with you. I see a few 13.5s. If this hits 14, I'm definitely on Washington State. If I can get 2 touchdowns, I think they can hang around here. I think SC, of course, is the better team, but their defense, they could give some points up. If I get 14, I'll take Washington State.
All right, so looking at maybe Washington State, if you can get the full 2 touchdowns there. All right, we've got 3 games left on the Saturday card, and I kept these for the end. Clemson, Virginia Tech, the first one. We've got Clemson 22-point road favorites here in this one against the Hokies. Total in this one around 67, pretty much across the board. Clemson's going to be in the ACC championship game. That was clinched last week. I think they come out storming in this game, but I worry that at some point in the second half, if they're up big, out come the starters. You might see that. Even Dabo Swinney doesn't need to run up a score. Some teams do. He doesn't. He's in the playoff as long as he just keeps winning. You don't need style points. So I like Clemson more in the first half here. Minus 12.5 is what I got with Clemson in the first half, and the over in the first half as well. Kind of like with the Clemson-Pitt game where it flew over the total in the first half, and then it kind of slowed down after that. You could see that here in this game. So I like Clemson in the first half over in this game. Look, Virginia Tech, before the season, you thought this could be a hell of a game, these two teams, but the Hokies have been disappointing. Hendon Hooker hasn't improved as a pocket passer. Most of the damage he does is on the ground. And the defense for Virginia Tech's been very, very shaky all season. Good luck stop. Trevor Lawrence was on fire. He was unconsciously good last week, coming back from that COVID absence. That's going to be trouble for Tech. So I like Clemson, but I like them better in the first half. Same with the over. Connor, what about you, Clemson, Virginia Tech?
You nailed it. Clemson first half, I'm all over it. That's one of my top plays. I like it full game, but you already talked about it. There could be some starters out, maybe a backdoor cover. I love Clemson first half, for sure. I think Trevor Lawrence, I think he's kind of pissed off. I think they come back, and I can't wait. I think they beat Notre Dame when we get to that championship game. So.
All right, next up, Alabama, LSU. You can pretty much recite the same analysis I just gave you on Clemson for this game. Alabama, 29-point road favorites, 65 to 12. Same approach, except I'm not doing the first half over on this game because I don't know what LSU is going to do offensively. Finley looks really, really spotty at quarterback for LSU. And another opt-out, one of their best receivers opted out this week, LSU. A couple other guys as well. After another loss last week, nobody wants a part of it. That tells you right now, this LSU team doesn't want any part of this Alabama team, and Alabama won't hesitate to just destroy this team because LSU beat them last year. They went to the national championship and won it. Alabama didn't. Alabama remembers that. If they can lay a whipping on this team, I think they will. And I don't know if LSU's bad defense is going to stop Mac Jones in this offense a whole lot. So I like Alabama. Minus 17 is the best number out there with them in the first half. That's the one I'm zoned in on more than anything. No full game over, no full game Alabama. Actually, a little on the full game Alabama, but more on the first half. The first half is where they come out and really make a statement. And LSU, again, it looks crazy because this game, was like close to pick 'em last year, Alabama, LSU. And now all of a sudden here's Alabama. 1 year later, 1 season later, 29-point favorites on the road. But it's warranted. LSU is just, they've not stepped up this year. Remember, Auburn, who just got destroyed by Alabama. Auburn destroyed this LSU team. What was it, 48-13 or something? Yeah, this is going to be a long night, I think, for the Bayou Bengals in this one. Conor, what's your thoughts? Alabama, LSU.
Same here. I've done it all year. Bama. I liked first half a little bit better, and even those weeks where I was like, maybe not Bama. Kentucky, I still pulled the trigger, and they just been steamrolling. Mac Jones, the offense. I like first half better, but I like full game as well. I think they can win by 30 here. So roll tide.
And the final game, and I kept this for the final game because this is the game I'm the most excited about. It's not Alabama, it's not Clemson, it's not Ohio State or A&M Auburn. It's this game, and why not? It's the undefeated teams. This game came together at the last minute, and I'm sure glad it did. BYU, Coastal Carolina, BYU 10-point favorites on the road in Conway, South Kakalaki, total 61.5 in this game. Against what might be my better judgment, because I've got worries for Coastal here. Now that they're double-digit home dogs, I'm grabbing a piece of Coastal. They've been my darling team this year. I've cashed a bunch of winners with them, especially early in the season, and they're well coached. Jamie Chadwell will not take a back seat to anybody as a head coach. That's why he's not going to be at Coastal Carolina much longer. He's going to end up getting a bigger job sooner rather than later. I think he can design something against this BYU team to give his team a puncher's chance. I like Grayson McCall. I like the offense. And look, BYU's defense against any sort of capable offense they've played this year, like Houston, for instance, that was a game where their defense looked a little vulnerable. And I think Coastal can move the ball and score points. Here's my issue with Coastal. For as good as their defense has been this year, and it's been really good, they're so massively undersized against the BYU offensive line. These are older guys. These are bigger guys. And they could just blow the Coastal defensive front off the line of scrimmage today. And that is the worry. And if Zach Wilson has the time I worry that he might have to throw the football, he'll pick them apart, and it really does worry me. So that's why I'm keeping the Coastal bet at plus 10.5 to a small one. I really like the over, though. I think the over makes a ton of sense in this game because I think Coastal's going to score on BYU. BYU's defense, I'm not sold on them shutting down a well-schemed, coordinated offense like Coastal's and Grayson McCall. But Coastal's going to have their hands full stopping BYU and Zach Wilson, especially with a size mismatch in the trenches. So I like over 61.5 here, BYU and Coastal, and a smaller bet on Coastal. What's your thoughts, Conor? Undefeated teams, can't wait for it. BYU, Coastal Carolina.
I think BYU is the better team. They're, like you said, older guys, 26-year-old grown men. But I got to take Coastal's just been so good. I got to take these 10.5. I might just burn up in flames tonight, but like you said, Babano, we've rode them. I'm going to ride them again. Maybe underdogs here, maybe at home. Get it. And I think they do score on BYU. I think BYU scores on Coastal. Yep. But I think the points will be scored. I think it'll be a good one. I'd love Coastal to win this game. I think
Absolutely.
that'd be great, but I don't know if it happens. And BYU's the one who's having to travel.
Yep.
This game is late.
Suddenly,
Coastal's at home.
unexpectedly. Yep.
Yep. Yeah. So, I gotta lean with Coastal here. Here, let me give a shout out to our sponsors.
Yeah, let's do that before.
If you guys haven't downloaded the app, Wolf Spreads, download it. Type in Pub Sports Radio Battle Royale. You get $10K to bet the NFL games. Funny money every week. You bet 5 games, 1 team, whatever you want to do. At the end of the week, whoever wins, first place gets Pub Sports Radio merch. And if you need a book, go to mybookie.ag. Enter promo code MyBookie. Enter promo code Pub Sports, and 50% off deposit your debit or credit. And if you put in 1,000 Bitcoin, they match you 1,000. So they give you half 50 on the debit or credit. They give you a full amount on Bitcoin. So go to MyBookie, hit Pub Sports Radio, get it.
All right, there you go. Right. Support the sponsors that support the show. Always important. So check that out for sure. There we go. We gotten through every game. Impressive. We did a hell of a job because there was more games than usual than the last few weeks, at least this Saturday card, and got through each and every one. It's best bet time to wrap up the show. Conor, I'll start with you. College football best bet. If you had to, it's never easy. I get it. You got to isolate one game, and there's a bunch we like. But if you had to pick one, what would it be?
I like both those first halves. I'm going to take the shorter number. Give me Clemson minus 12.5 first half.
All right, Clemson minus 12.5 first half against Virginia Tech for Conor's best bet. Mine, I'm going to go to. This is I'm just going to see here which one. Let's. I'm going to go with the other first half. Alabama minus 17 first. I was going to go with K-State, but that one's off the board already. I like Alabama here first half minus 17 against LSU. Come out to prove a point. That'll be my best bet for this Saturday in college football. And a bonus college basketball best bet from me today as well. I'm taking the over 144 with Iona and Hofstra in college basketball today. Rick Pitino there. Same style that Tim Cluse ran at Iona basketball. They're going to be full court pressure, try to force turnovers, get in transition up and down the court. That's their style, but their defense, as we saw in the second half against Seton Hall in their first game, it's a work in progress. It's not a good team getting stops at that end of the court for Iona, and that's where they're going to struggle. Hofstra has always been a high-scoring basketball team under Joe Mihalik, the coach. I know they lost Justin Wright Foreman, Eli Pemberton, some of these guys that were good players for Hofstra the last couple seasons, but I think they're still good enough offensively to take advantage of a very weak Iona defense at this stage of the season. I think Pitino will get them better at that end of the court over the season, but again, they haven't practiced a lot. It's going to take time. New faces on this roster. Give me the over 144 Iona Hofstra in college basketball. And unfortunate news in college basketball, Conor, Gonzaga Baylor canceled. Everybody looking forward to that game. What a shame we're not going to see it now.
Here, let me throw one out too. I really liked it last night. It's dropped, but I'll give another one. Was the Montana Southern Utah. They're playing again. I like the under 139.5. It is dropped though to 136.5. I still like it, not as much. They just played 63-64 the other night. I had Montana and lost that. So, and another one here is Eastern Illinois. I like them. I think Green Bay is just not very good this year. So minus 5.5 Eastern Illinois.
All right, minus 5.5 Eastern Illinois against Green Bay. And Eastern Illinois has been disappointing, but you're right, Green Bay has been that bad that they might be able to get the job done, Eastern Illinois, against them. All right, that'll wrap it up. Great show as always, the college football closing time show here on Pub Sports Radio. Thanks to everyone for tuning in and watching in the chat. We appreciate it for sure. Good luck this Saturday. Enjoy the games in college football. Good luck. And in college basketball. And we'll be back tomorrow. Reminder, noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, NFL Closing Time Show. Myself, Conor Mack, and Ski Profit breaking down the NFL card right here on Pub Sports Radio, noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, tomorrow on Sunday. For Conor Mack, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Saturday. Cash some tickets. We'll be back with you tomorrow for the